Yo, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another video. Today, as the title and thumbnail suggests, we're going to be doing the movie special of What If Deku Was Itachi's Reincarnation. Again, I you guys already know, I haven't been posting this on this channel like 5 months. It's not good. It's not good at all. But I'm be trying to change that. I'm going to try to at least post 2 videos a week. I can't promise you 3 videos, 4 videos. I can definitely say I'm going to try to at least have 1 video a week. That should be good enough for you guys to stop asking me if I died or where I am on my Discord. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Oh yeah, I have a Discord, by the way. I'm not that really active, but I'll become active. I'm going to try my best to become active. So you guys should definitely join the Discord. Again, thank you Bleach for making me this beautiful thumbnail. I really like it. Thanks, bro. And I'm joined by the man himself. Bleach Unbound on this What If, another What If on the Zero channel that me and Bleach are going to be on together. Thank you, Bleach, for just being willing to join me on this channel. Yeah, I known him since he was on like 500 subscribers. He's a great guy. You guys should definitely check him out. He makes amazing what ifs. So you guys should definitely check him out, as well as he live streams on YouTube. He plays some games and he's just an overall great person. So you guys should definitely subscribe to him and join his Discord, which I'll be linking in the description. Like I said, join my Discord. I'm going to try to become more active, but I can't promise you anything. But yeah, I wasted enough of your time already. And after a long awaited time, I can say this again. Cue the intro.
Hey Ross, sauce it up. Shit can get dangerous, yeah. Shit can get dangerous, yeah. You staying with a lame bitch, yeah. Well, I'm staying with the gang bitch, 'cause that's gang shit. Like, ooh, and they gon' stay by my side, 'cause them boys down to ride.
Alright, we start this what if off as we see Itachi and Sasuke ending moments of the fight versus Kabuto, as we see Itachi put Kabuto under Tsukiyomi as he forces him to undo the reanimation jutsu that brought him back from the land of the dead. As we see Itachi slowly walk over, as each step another part of his body falls to the ground, as he starts becoming see-through, as he's no longer tangible. As we see Sasuke says, brother, what's happening? What's going on? As we see Itachi say, sorry, brother, but I'm dead. I was never meant to come back to this world, and I'm meant to say the word of the dead. Never use this jutsu again to reanimate me. It's just my final wish for you, my beloved brother. As he taps his head, as he says, no matter if you hate me for the rest of your life, I will always love you. I'll say hi to mom and dad for you, as Itachi gives his final smile, as his body drops to the ground, as his soul flies up to the heavens. As in a flash of light, Itachi is now standing in front of the pearly white gates of heaven, as he sees the two people he missed the most, the two people he had the most grief for killing, his mother and his father. As he runs over to them, tears flowing down his eyes. Mom, Dad, I'm here. I miss you guys so much. If there was another way, I would have chose it, but this was the only way that could keep the village safe. The coup was just too dangerous, and a war between the Uchihas and the village was just something I couldn't happen. I know I'm supposed to choose the clan, but I'm a leaf shinobi first, then Uchiha second. Hopefully you guys can forgive me and one day cease to hate me. As we see Mikoto slap her child, as she then brings him into a hug and says, Dear Itachi, you poor boy. We could have never have hated you. We always loved you. Now, we did not like the path he chose, causing Sasuke to go down the path of hatred, but we saw your intent. We won't hate you. We love you. We as parents can never hate our children. It's just not possible. We loved you and we always been proud of you. As we see Uchiha Itachi, one of the most dangerous men in the world, cry his eyes out like a little baby. As we see, Fugaku says, "Stand up, Itachi. It isn't like you to cry. Now, we do not have much time left together, so you must heed my every word." As Itachi says, "What do you mean, father? I'm dead. We have all the time to spend with each other now." As he says, "No, Itachi, I'm so very sorry, but you aren't going to be seeing us ever again. In fact, you won't be seeing this world ever again." As Itachi says, "Wait, what do you mean, father? Am I going to be leaving heaven? Was I really that bad of a person to not deserve eternal peace?" As he says, "No, it's the very opposite. You're too good for this. You're too good to stay dead. You deserve a second chance in life. Therefore, we made a deal with God that the time that you finally came to rest in eternal peace, we will sacrifice our spots in heaven to give you a chance at life again." As Itachi says, "Wait, what? This is not what I want. I want it to die. I want to be able to spend the rest of my life with you, the clan, and every single other member of the Leaf. Why does it have to be this way?" As Itachi sheds more tears, as he says, "I'm sorry, son, but it has to be this way. The duty of their parent is to put their child's wills first, and we saw the opportunity to give you a second chance at life, and we just couldn't stop it. We had to take that opportunity because it might have been the only chance we got to ever let you have another chance just to be normal, another chance to find peace." Itachi Uchiha, look up, as we see a man dressed in all white as he's standing over the Uchiha family. "These were the last words of your parents, and now you have to say goodbye for one last time." As he says, "Mom, Dad, I'll miss you. One day when I can fix this, I'll fix it, and I'll give you back your spot. Just give me some time to see how I can fix this. Don't give up on finding eternal peace. If I have to sacrifice my life, so be it. But I'll find a way to bring you guys back here." As they give him a slight smile and says, "No worries, Itachi. We have forever to wait after all." As they give a chuckle as they are sent to their doom, facing eternal hardship and peril. As God says, "I like your spirit, kid. This was one of the main reasons why I applied and was willing to listen to requests of your parents, but unfortunately, there's no way out of this. Their souls have been sold to the death god, and they will no longer ever come back to this place again. They will face extreme perish for the rest of eternity, all because of how much they loved you. Think of that, Itachi. Now don't let their sacrifice be in vain. Live out the rest of your life and have a good time, because I'm letting you know you will never ever get the chance of going back to the real world again. After this time, you're dead forever. No matter how much you beg, how much you plead, if you want to stay in the real world, you have your chance one last time. But if you turn it down, you'll just stay here while your parents will suffer forever. Your choice is yours." As Itachi says, "Fine, just bring me to where I have to go." As God smiles and says, "Follow me, Itachi Uchiha. You have made your choice." As we see God clap, as they are then teleported to a big room filled with different monitors of different sizes, showing so many different people, so many different fates, people being born, people being killed, people being sold into slavery, all different types of things from all different types of universes. As Itachi says, what is this? What is this room?" As God says, "This is the room of all things. This is the room that I use to see every single living being in all of the multiverse." As Itachi says, "The multiverse? Wait, that's actually a real thing?" As God laughs and says, don't let me think that you thought you guys were the only people that I created, the only universe that was real. No." As Itachi then moves over, as God says, "Look at here." As we see Captain America, fighting Iron Man, as he says that is another one of the universes that I created, and they're not anything like yours. I made every single universe special and unique and have its own properties. As he says, well, extremely interesting. I guess Orochimaru was right after all. As we have a flashback. Now, I came up with a new theory, says Orochimaru as he dressed in the Akatsuki cloak. I do not think we're the only ones living in this universe. Well, I do think we are in this universe, but to be more specific, I think there's other universes, other timelines, and other people living at the same time that we are. As all of the Akatsuki start to laugh and say, "You're just a mad scientist, Orochimaru. There's no way that the multiverse theory is true. We are the only universe, so we are special. We are unique." As this is the end of the flashback, as we then see God say, "Now Itachi Uchiha, make your pick. Like I said, you only have one choice. If you don't like this life, that is too bad. So you must choose it very wisely with who you want to be your new reincarnation." As Itachi Uchiha slowly surveys the room, looking over every single possible option that he has over the million choices, one stood out to him the most. It was of a familiar looking green-haired character named Izuku Midoriya, but this time his life was significantly a lot worse. Not only was the bullying happened, but he was physically abused as well, not only from Bakugo, but of other members of his family for being quirkless. And one day he just had enough. After his old best friend, who's now his abuser, said to him, "Hey mate, hey Izuku, maybe if you just jump off a bridge, and if you pray hard enough, before you die you'll be given a quirk, so that at least in your last moments you won't be so useless." As he laughs, as he turns away, blowing up Izuku's desk. As Izuku says, "Fine, I just can't take it anymore. Maybe death is just the best thing for me." As he slowly walks up the stairs to the roof, as he opens up the door, as he then thinks back of all the times in his life. His first 5 years were amazing, filled with love and all of his friends and family. But then that's when they all changed. The day when his doctor says he is quirkless and he will never develop a quirk rang through his head, as that was a day that changed his life forever. As we then see Izuku run off of the ledge as he jumps, never to be seen or heard from again. As we then see Itachi Uchiha says, "Yes, I have made my choice. Izuku Midoriya will be my reincarnation." As God says, "Very well, just remember, you only have one shot at this, and if you do not like this life, that is too bad. This is the life that you're gonna live. Farewell, Itachi, until our paths cross again." As he snaps his fingers, as Itachi is then teleported to a brand new world, the world of my hero. We see Itachi open up his eyes as he sees familiar faces, at least faces that he's seen from the flashes of Izuku's life. His mother and father, but his father looks a little bit different in this timeline. Instead of having his green hair and his green eyes, like in the original, he now has black hair as well as the eyes that look like the Uchiha's base eyes. He has pupilless black eyes, very similar to Itachi's. As Inko then looks down at her baby, and she rubs his cheek as she says, "Look at my very cute baby." But unfair, he looks exactly like you, Hisashi. As Hisashi says, "Yes, our first baby, and he looks exactly like me. Looks like the god of luck is on my side." As Hisashi and Inko chuckle. But don't worry, Inko, maybe as he grows up, he'll gain more of the features that I came to love about you. Your amazing heart and your contagious laugh. As Inko says, "Oh, thank you, thank you, Hiyashi." As she then smiles. "Well, Izuku, we're gonna try to make your life as amazing as possible." as we now have a time skip of 4 years to enter into Izuku's first day of school. Things have been quite different than in the original timeline. Izuku isn't as gung-ho about heroes because he feels that there are not anywhere close to as amazing that ninjas were. Yeah, quirks were kinda cool, but they were significantly less advanced than jutsus. Jutsus, you can use all elements and many different things, while quirks, you're only stuck to one thing, which is one thing Izuku didn't like about a quirk. He hoped secretly that he was quirkless so that he can only use his jutsus and not being tied down by the useless quirks of this world. Ever since the age of 2, Itachi secretly trained every single night on the way of the ninja. Even though he did not like violence, he knew in this world, just like his, that violence is a necessary part in this world. Even though he didn't like to hit people, he didn't like to cause arguments, he just knew that they were bad people and bad people need to be stopped in order for this world to have true peace. Therefore, at the young age of 3, he decided that his goal was to become the #1 hero, the symbol of peace, and the symbol of terror for all of the villains in the world. Hopefully, his existence will put an end to all of the villains, and this world will become a much peacier place than his world can ever be. Like I said, he trained his mind and his body, trying to use some techniques such as water walking and tree walking, which he got down pretty easily. We see Itachi get up from his bed as he walks out of his room, as he sees his mother and his father in the kitchen preparing breakfast for him, his favorite meal in fact, chicken and waffles with some bacon and some orange juice. As he says, "Good morning, mother, good morning, father. How are you guys doing?" As they said, "We're doing good, Itachi. How'd you sleep?" "I slept pretty good. Today's the day, huh?" "Yep," says Inko. "Today's your first day at school. Are you ready?" Itachi says, "Yes, there's really nothing to be scared of. It's just school after all. What's the worst that could happen?" As Inko says, "That's true, but you should still sound a little bit more excited. It's your first day at school. You get to make friends, and it's your first day in the real world, where we won't be around you all the time. You think you can handle it?" "Yes, ma'am, it won't be that bad." "How long would it be? Just a few hours of not seeing you?" "That's nothing," as he says with a deadpan look on his face. As Inko says, "This is pretty weird. Usually kids around your age would cry about having to leave their parents even for a few minutes. Well, I'm pretty different than kids my age." "I guess, Mom," says Itachi, as he then walks up to the counter as he then gets his plate as he eats it. As we now skip like 20 minutes ahead, as we see Itachi and Inko and Hisashi leaving their car as they drop Itachi off at the school steps. As he says, "Remember to give your teacher the gift that we gave you to give her, okay?" As he says, "Yes, ma'am. Have a good day at work." As Itachi then walks in with his hands in his pocket, holding the gift. As he says, "Well, I guess I'll miss him more than I thought I would," says Hiyashi, as tears start flowing down his face. As Inko says, "Don't cry. You gotta be strong for Izuku," says Inko, as tears start to rush from her face like a little waterfall. As they both head back to the car, as we see Izuku going into the classroom as he sees the teacher and says, "Hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya. It's a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully this class will be pretty interesting. This is the gift that my family and I got for you. Hopefully you enjoy it." As he places the bag of small little cookies and gifts and some food like that, as he says, "Well, thank you. You didn't have to do this." As he then goes to a seat. As we see Itachi look around and see kids his age, but like his mom said, they are really different from him. They're all crying and saying, "I want my mommy." says one of the girls, as he says, well, this can be pretty annoying. As he then looks at his book as he just reads it, trying to buy as much time as he can. As the teacher says, "Hi kids, my name is Mr. Fukagaku. Hopefully you and I can have a good time this year." Again, I said my name is Fukagaku. It might be pretty hard to pronounce, so you can just call me Mr. Fu if you guys want that. As Itachi says, well, his name sounds pretty close to my dad's, Fukagaku and Fugaku. That's ironic, says Izuku, as he then goes back to reading. Now we'll be doing a bit of getting to know everyone. Since this is your first day, we would like everyone to introduce themselves one by one. First, we'll go with Izuku Midoriya, as he then goes up into the front of his class and says, "Hey, my name is Izuku Midoriya. Yeah, I don't really know what to say." As he says, "Just tell me your likes, don't make your dislikes, and what is your dreams for the future?" As he says, "Okay." I swear I heard that before, but no matter. Like I said, my name is Itachi. My name is Izuku Midoriya, as they say. Wait, is your name Itachi or Izuku? As he says, "I'm sorry, my name is Izuku." I wasn't really thinking right there. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and I like peace, and I want the world to be very peaceful. I feel that conflict is very unnecessary, and all this things that people are going against other people is just a waste. We could have been way more advanced if we would just find peace in the world instead of fighting. As he says, "And my dreams, well, I want to be the #1 hero so that I can make peace in the world, and hopefully I can become the terror to all of the villains." That's it. As he goes and sits back down, as the teacher says, "Well, that was a pretty good first one, and he sounds a lot smarter than a 4-year-old should, but it's fine." As more and more students' cards start to go up, but none of them was really like Itachi's. All of them said like, "Hi, my name is Mayo, and I like grapes and oranges. I want to have a cool quirk so that I can make mom and dad proud." As this was one of the kids that followed Izuku. As the teacher says, "Oh, that's very good, Mayo. Please sit back down. Katsuki Bakugo, you're up next." As he says, "Okay, my name is Katsuki Bakugo. Like that black-haired kid, I want to be the #1 hero. I want to have a really strong quirk, and I want to become famous and use my quirk to stop villains. That's it. I don't really have a lot of likes other than All Might and watching his replays on tape. Thank you." As he sits back down and says, and the teacher says, "Well, at least there's another person who isn't as childish." But what am I thinking? They're supposed to be like that. That's supposed to be their answers. Maybe calling Izuku up first wasn't the best idea, says the teacher as he gives a slight chuckle to himself. As we now have 5-month time skip, as we see Bakugo awakening his quirk. As we see Izuku entering the class, as he then takes a seat, as he says, "What's all the commotion for?" As he looks up and just sees a crowd of people surrounding Bakugo, as he just hears little pops going off, as he decides to check it out for himself. As he walks over and he sees Bakugo awoken his quirk, as it's little pops coming out of his hands, as the teacher says, "Wow, Bakugo, that's really cool." As all of the classmates says, "Yeah, Bakugo, that is so cool. You have like little explosions going off of your hands. Maybe that's your quirk, explosions. That's super flashy and super cool," says one of the kids. As Bakugo says, "Of course it is. My quirk is going to be the best quirk in here. I'm going to be the #1 hero," says Bakugo as he puts the #1 up in the air. Ever since that day, Bakugo became more and more of a bad person, reminding him more like the person that he saw all those years ago when he was looking at Izuku's life, when he was about to pick him to be his reincarnation. He's mean, he's rude, and he has a severe attitude problem, as well as he's extremely cocky and arrogant, especially overly arrogant, since all he can do so far is just produce a little crackles in his hands that can do a little bit of damage, but nothing out of the ordinary. Itachi thinks that people that are his age, like the age of 5, could do a lot more dangerous things and a lot more powerful things when they were just little kids. In fact, kids like Shisui and him were already strong enough to beat kids significantly older than him when they're only 5. So Itachi doesn't think that little crackles in his hand are that impressive. As Itachi then sees Bakugo picking on a little kid who's quirkless, as he says, "What are you doing around here, you quirkless little loser? Shouldn't you be over there with your little quirkless little friend?" As he spits out the word quirkless. Come on, Bakugo. I'm sorry, I just had to come over here. I thought I told you the last time. If you came over here, I would beat you up. As he starts to produce crackles in his hand. As he says, come on, Bakugo, there's no need to do that. Just because I'm quirkless doesn't mean you have to bully me and my friend. It's not that big of a deal. Quirks aren't everything. As Bakugo says, what do you mean quirks aren't everything? Quirks are everything in this world. If you don't have a good quirk, you're just a useless nobody. And if you are quirkless, you're even worse than useless. You're just a waste of space. As he kicks the little kid. As Itachi says, come on, Bakugo, there's no need for this. As he doesn't stop from looking at his book. As Bakugo says, no one was talking to you, Izuku. Just go back to minding your own business. You are just as bad as them. Just because the doctor says that you weren't quirkless doesn't mean that you're special. You didn't even use a quirk, so by all means, you just might as well just be quirkless. As Itachi says, I really don't care if I have a quirk or not, because quirks aren't anything special. Like, just because you can produce little crackles from your hand aren't anything. When I was your age, people around me could already be killing. Wait, what do you mean people around me could already be killing? And we are the same age. What are you talking about? Says Bakugo with a confused look. As he says, never mind. But just put the kid down, Bakugo. It's not that big of a deal. As he says, oh really? Then make me, says Bakugo as he charges towards Izuku. As he tries to punch him. As Izuku just dodges and catches his hand. As he gives him a little jab to the gut. Not trying to use all of his power, since he's been training his physical body a lot longer than Bakugo has. As he just makes him cough out a little bit of spit. As he says, you'll pay for that. As he snaps his fingers, where people of his group start to try to fight Izuku, seemingly jumping him, even though they didn't land a hit. He just kept on dodging and moving out of the way, all while reading his book at the same time. As Bakugo says, stop messing with us, Izuku. As he then uses his quirk as he tries to burn Izuku's favorite comic book. As he says, hey, why'd you do that for? Says Izuku as he moves his book out of the way just in time. What did my book do to you? As he then kicks Bakugo in the gut. As the teacher then walks into the classroom and says, hey, break it up. As the teacher says, what happened, Izuku? As he says, well, Bakugo is picking on Nathan again. As Fu says, come on, Bakugo, I thought we said that you can't bully people just because they don't have quirks. You can't bully people at all. It's against school code. As he says, whatever, he deserves it. He's quirkless, he's useless. Who gives a damn about useless people in this world? The only people that matter are people with quirks. As Bakugo says. As Fu says, that's not true. There's a lot of quirkless people that can do, well, I won't say a lot because there's not that many quirkless people, but there are some big name quirkless people, like Albert Einstein. He didn't have a quirk, but he is one of the best to ever, he was one of the smartest people in the whole world. And just because one person was somewhat useful doesn't mean all of them are, says Bakugo as he goes back to his seat. As Nathan runs up and says, thank you, Izuku, for protecting me. As he says, yes, no worries. but you gotta stop letting him pick on you. You gotta start defending yourself. How can I do that? He has a quirk. I don't. I didn't use a quirk. Just, do some training, train your body so you can defend yourself and train your reflexes as well. And you'll be fine, says Itachi as he walks away. Now we have a time skip of 10 years to the end of Izuku and Bakugo's time in middle school. As the teacher says, gather around, students. Usually we would have to fill out these forms to see where everyone wants to go in life, but I know all you guys want to be heroes. As he throws up the paper, as people start using their quirks, and people start to extend their fingers, and people start taking their eyeballs out, as Izuku just continues reading his book, as he just ignores all of them. As Bakugo says, hey teach, don't list me in with all of these losers. I will be special. I will be the number one hero. Unlike they will just be lucky if they're the sidekicks to the sidekicks of D-lister heroes. As they says, shut up Bakugo, you're not even number one. Izuku is. He can do a lot more with his abilities. He can breathe fire, he can use water. He just seems like he has complete control over all of the elements. Not to mention that he can also walk on water as well as walk on surfaces, like walking on walls and trees and stuff. It's super cool, says one of the students. That says, shut up, that stupid loser just has nothing on me. As one of the students say, that's not true Bakugo, you have nothing on him. How many times you guys fought and he beat you every single time. As Izuku just looks up and says, what did you guys say? Never mind Izuku. As he says, oh okay. As Bakugo says, shut up, I'll be stronger than that useless loser. Settle down class, you guys know it's against school rules to use your quirks. As they said, yes sensei, we apologize. As they stop to use their quirks. As he says, well, I'll be announcing all of the students who will be attending to and trying to go to hero schools, as different schools popped up, like the school that the one guy went to, as well as some of the other schools that were in the finals exam, like the license exams, while he then says, well, we have 2 students that are applying to UA High School. This is the first time in school history that we might ever have students go to UA. They're the school that makes all the pro heroes. And maybe, just maybe, our very own heroes can be, our very own Izuku and Bakugo can become very well-known heroes, says the teacher. As one of the students says, of course, Izuku will. He'll be the number 1 teacher for sure with his weird quirk. Since he can do so many things, he's just unique and special. As another student says, yeah, and I guess Bakugo is pretty strong too. He'll be able to definitely make it in the top 10, but he won't have a candle on Izuku, says another student. As Bakugo says, didn't I tell y'all to shut up? As he then starts to produce explosions in his hands. They said, sorry Bakugo, no need to be so angry. As they start to laugh. As they says, well, it's been a pleasure teaching all of you guys, and hopefully all of you guys can have amazing careers in the Hero Society and just doing things such as being doctors and lawyers, because not all of you guys can be heroes. So don't all try, maybe try to do different things, As a teacher says this, as he just lets them have a free time since it's the last day of their school. As they all leave the classroom, as Izuku decides to go a new way home today since he got a text from his parents that they won't be able to pick him up. He decides to walk home a little bit faster since he really feels like playing this new video game that he has. Ever since he came to this world, video games have really been interesting to him, especially ninja video games, since he was a ninja once and he felt that he can relive his life as a ninja by playing ninja games. It's pretty weird to Itachi, but it's the closest thing he can get to being a ninja again. As he then goes to the iconic alley, as we then see the Switch villain, as he says, come on, give me your body, kid, I didn't know that freak was in town. As he tries to consume Izuku, as he says, what are you doing, stay away. As without looking away from his book again, he does one-handed hand signs as he looks up just for a brief second as he starts to burn the sludge villain. As he says, "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts, put out the fire, kid, put out the fire," as his sludge starts to slowly evaporate. As he says, "No can do," as he then looks up as he turns his normal black eyes to the Sharingan. We now have a flashback to the day where Izuku finally awakened his Sharingan. It was the age 7 where Izuku finally said, "Hey, let's try this again," after not trying to awaken his Sharingan since the last time he did it when he was 4 years old. As he then just put chakra into his eyes, as it worked, he gained his Tutomoe Sharingan. As he says, "Only a Tutomoe? I guess this will be good enough." Flashback end. Izuku then says, "Well, welcome to my hell. Welcome to the world that I am God, where I am in complete control over." As he says, "Wait, what are you talking about? I have to go. I don't have time to deal with little kids. Just give me your body already." "Whoa, calm down. No need to be in such a rush. Like I already told you, I am God in this world." And with a snap, he is tied onto a post, as this is where the torture section begins. We now skip 4 minutes ahead as we see with a gust of wind, All Might arrive in the alley saying, "I am here," as he looks around to see the sludge villain that he knew came into this alley. As he says, "Hey kid, do you know where a green sludge villain went?" As he says, "Yeah, you mean this guy right here?" As he points over to the knocked out sludge villain and says, "Hey kid, did you do this all by yourself?" "Yeah, it was pretty easy. He was pretty annoying though, but with my abilities, it was just a walk in the park," says Itachi arrogantly. As he says, "Well, that's good that the new generation is pretty strong. I'm assuming you have hopes of becoming a hero." "Of course, All Might. I intend on being the one who takes your spot of the symbol of peace after all. And yeah, I'm applying to UA High," as All Might says, "Wow, interesting. Well, looks like I might see you sooner than later." As with a boom, he disappears, taking the sludge villain with him. Wow, the #1 hero is no joke, huh? As he sweats immensely from the pressure that his body was put on just by being in the presence of All Might. His power was off the chart. "I'll have to get a lot more stronger until I can even hold a candle to that," says Izuku as he pulls out his book as he just walks out of the alley whistling. As we now have a 10-month time skip, since there's really nothing that I need to cover. He just tries to learn how to use his Amaterasu better, trying to learn how to turn it off instead of just it going away once the victim is completely, or the thing is completely burned. So he's trying to learn how to turn it off and on at will, which he's been using some test dummies that he bought at the store for. Nothing really special. He also tried to learn the Curing, I think that's what it's called, the move that Sasuke used against him when they fought. And he's also is just keeping himself in shape, not trying to let himself get out of shape for these 10 months, because he thinks he's gonna have to be in tip-top shape in order to be able to do this test. As we then skip, like I said, 10 months later into the day of the entrance exams. As Izuku says, "See you, Mom, see you, Dad, well, I'm off." As he hops on his bike as he makes the 20-minute bike ride to school. As he then arrives, as he sees a whole bunch of people trying to enter into the building, and he just sees these huge doors that are super massive, and he says, "I wonder why UA would need doors these big. Oh wait, I forgot that people had giant quirks in this world. That would probably explain why," says Izuku as he walks in. Now, Izuku won't meet Uraraka in this timeline because he's completely confident in his abilities and he won't trip. So yeah, you have no need for Uraraka to save her, which means therefore he won't go to talk to her when he sees that she's nervous. So yeah, so we now go into where the written exams will be taking place. Itachi didn't really find a need to study for this, since he said he would just do what he did in the Chunin exams and just use his Sharingan to copy the answers of kids that he thinks are pretty smart. He copied all the answers off of a blue-haired kid with glasses named Tenya Ida. As he says, this kid looks smart, I'll just copy off his answers. As he just copied off his answers and he got a perfect score. As he turned the work in, as he was one of the first people to get outside. A lot better, trying to learn how to turn it on and off at will, instead of it just disappearing with the thing that he burned. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, as well as he just trying to stay in shape, and he tried to learn the jutsu that he saw Sasuke use against him. I think it's called the Kirin. Yeah, and he just tried to, refreshing his kunai and shuriken skills, as well as he picked up using a sword. So his mom brought him to kendo classes to try to allow him to learn how to use a sword, and that's pretty much all that happens in the 10 months. It's finally the day, says Itachi. It's finally this first day, and the first step that I can take on my atonement. The first step that I could take on improving this world and doing something I could never even dream of doing in my past one. Bringing perfect peace to this world. I know it sounds pretty far-fetched, but I think I can actually do it. If I just grow strong enough, I can eradicate all villains from this world. Hopefully my body can hold up on me, says Itachi, as he pats his stomach. Wow, I'm hungry and something smells pretty good, says Itachi, as he walks out into the kitchen, as he sees his mother already having pancakes and a biscuit and some bacon prepared for him and already plated. He says, "Morning, Mom. Morning, Dad." As he looks to them and he says, "Well, today's the day." "Yep, today is the day," says Hiyashi. "You think you're ready?" "Of course, Father. I have no doubts in the world that I'll make this family proud and make you a..." "Hey, Itachi, no worries. If you make it, it's amazing, and we'll be super proud of you," says Inko. And finishing by Hiyashi, "But if you don't make it, you won't make us less proud of you. We're already super proud of you. And if you don't become a hero, you can always use your mind and your superb brain that you always showed since you're a little kid. Always being able to do things that your peers couldn't do. But we have no faith in you, because if you were always able to do whatever you put your mind to. And if this is what you want to do, we'll support you to the end," says Hiyashi, as he gives him a smile and a pat on the back, as Itachi says, "Thank you, Mom and Dad." As he then gets up, finishing his food, and says, "Well, it's time for me to go," as he then opens the door and locks it behind him, as Inko and Hiyashi says, "You think you can do it?" Says Inko, "Of course he can. Like I said, if he puts his mind to anything, he can always do it." Says Hiyashi, "I hope you're right," says Inko. "It'll be pretty cool to see my baby boy on the screen saving lives. And hey, there's many other ways to save his lives, even if he doesn't become a hero, but still, it'll be pretty cool." And that it would be, says Hiyashi. As we then flip over to see Izuku biking to school, just finally arriving, as he sees the huge building of UA, as he says, "Wow, it's even bigger than it is in person. I don't think I've ever seen anything this big in the Leaf Village, or in any village to be frank." As he gets off his bike, as he puts it on the bike rack, as he puts the lock around it. As he then walks up into the stairs, entering into the UA halls, as he sees a sign that says "Room for the first exam." As he checks to make sure this is a trick, using some of the skills that he learned in the tuning exam, since they did around the same thing when they put a genjutsu on the sign, but remembering that they don't have genjutsu, she was like, "Oh wait, never mind, I don't have to do this," as he walks into the room and sees many other applicants there waiting for the first exams, which will be the written exams. Since Itachi didn't really study and he doesn't really feel like doing the work, he just copied the person in front of him with a tall boy with blue hair and glasses named Tenya Ida. He seemed pretty smart, and he decided that he never needed a perfect score anyway. He'll impress them with his strength alone, as he just copied every single answer he did that Ida did with Sharingan. As he turned in his work, as he made his way to the second stage, well, at least the room explaining the second stage, as we see President Mike saying, All of you are here today to test your might to see if you will be in the lucky few to make the freshman class of UA. We have obstacles set out there for you, and there will be a few test robots from ranking from points 1 to point 3. As Ida interrupts and says, hey, I don't know if this is just a mistake on UA's part, but this is not very professional. They said on the pamphlet that there was 4 robots. Yes, as the pamphlet says, there are 4 robots, and everyone else would have found that out just like you in a few seconds if you didn't cut me off. But since you did, like the blue-haired boy said, there are 4 robots, and the 4th one is just an obstacle in your path. We recommend running away from it since it's the biggest of all the robots, and since it gives you no points. As Itachi hears the biggest, he says, hey, maybe this will be a good chance for me to show off if I ever run into it, and if I'm in need for some points, which probably won't happen, but you know, it'll always be good to show off a little bit, says Itachi with a grin. As President Mike says, if you follow me, I will show you the path to where you guys will be taking each of your respective exams. As they see a bus lined up marked A, B, C. As President Mike says, as you will see from the screens above, they have your names listed on it as well as the bus that will take you to your destination for your exams. As Izuku as well as Tenya Ida and Ochako Uraka all go on C bus, as Bakugo Katsuki goes on the B bus. As he sees the person that he hates the most out of everyone, Izuku Midoriya's name is up there on C bus. He says, you're lucky, bastard. If we were in the same one, I would have definitely shown you up. But looks like this just might have to wait longer, says Bakugo as he walks onto his respective bus. As we then see Izuku get off of the bus, as he's surrounded by students all lined up in front of the gate. As Izuku says, why is no one going anywhere? We're just gonna wait to start? As he says, no, there's no countdowns in the hero battle, so why should there be a countdown in this one? Isn't the school supposed to be preparing us for a hero battle and to be heroes? So looks like I just gotta go on ahead, and if I'm wrong, it looks like my points might suffer a little bit, but I guess it's worth the sacrifice. As he rushes along, as he jumps over the gate, as he starts to immediately destroy robots, throwing some kunais as well as some shurikens, as well as using his sword to cut some of the robots in half, coating some lightning chakra inside of it. As then he decides to use his Amaterasu on one of the clutches of robots, burning them all instantly. As in the teacher's box, they said, whoa, that kid is good, says Aizawa as he says with a bored look on his face. As Midnight says, yeah, and he's super cute too, with that little black hair and the ponytail. Are you sure he's only 15? He looks like he might be 18. And I don't think I ever described what he really looked like. He looks exactly like Itachi, except just in the more modern clothes he has. Every single feature of Itachi, he has his black hair and his black ponytail, as well as the marks that are on his face. I mean the wrinkles that are on his face. He has every single thing. He looks exactly like Itachi. But yeah, as Aizawa says, come on, Midnight, that's still a kid even if it doesn't look like it. But yeah, I know, he just looks so huggable and just so cute. As another teacher says, I wouldn't call that huggable, as he sees Izuku using lightning chakra as he sticks his hand through the 0-pointer as he completely blows it up, as he then jumps through the hole as he then starts to destroy more and more. I would call that scary, not huggable, says Cementos, as he looks at the kid, but he looks really promising. I would like to really see what the new generation can do. While everyone is just shocked in amazement from what Izuku is doing, as one of them says, hey, that's cheating. That shouldn't count. There was no countdown. He shouldn't have even been able to go already. His point should be taken away. We should be able to restart. says another student. As another student says agrees and says, yeah, that's not fair. As more and more start to get out of their amazement as they start to agree. As President Mike says, no, you guys are wrong. That student is right. There is no countdowns in a battle, and there shouldn't be one here since we are preparing you guys to be pro heroes. And if you guys wait around, you guys just might be killed. So you guys should have been left. So go, go, go! As the gates flood open, as students rush inside, trying to make up for the lost time that they had staring at Izuku, as he was already way above him, already having 200 points. As Izuku says, yeah, this should be good enough, as he just hops onto a nearby roof, as he begins to lie down as he reads his book, as he just looks down below, as he sees students scrambling around trying to get as many points as they can, as he hears giant footsteps, boom, 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 as he turns around and he sees the 0-pointer and he says, that was the thing that I saw on the screen. Well, I really don't feel like I need to impress them, since my display should have impressed them enough. That's just someone else's problem, not mine. As he just continues to read, as he hears a scream, as he sees a girl with brown hair being trapped underneath some rubble, as he says, is no one gonna help her? Well, that's unfortunate. Looks like she's gonna die. T and D, as he goes back to reading his book, before he hears smashing, as he sees a guy with messy blonde hair, as he is breaking and punching the boulders as they're cracking, but unfortunately for them, he's not doing it in time, as the 0-pointer is seconds away from destroying them. As he says, well, looks like I'm gonna have to help if no one can do it. As he then hops down from one roof, as he begins to travel along the roofs, as he jumps up, as he pulls out his sword and says, Amaterasu, doing something he's been practicing ever since the 10 months of training, trying to put Amaterasu on his sword. But lucky for him, it worked, which only works around like 50% of the time. So lucky for them, it worked, huh? So he jumps down from the building, as his hair is flowing in the wind, as he stabs the 0-pointer, as the Amaterasu starts to flow from the sword into the 0-pointers, into the robot's body, as he then starts to slide down, as he cuts the 0-pointer like butter, saving the 2 lives. As they look up and they say, thank you so much, I thought we were dead, says Kamino. As Ochako says, yeah, thank you very much, if it wasn't for you, we would have been dead. And again, thank you. What's your name? My name is Kamino. Thank you for trying to save me, even though you weren't so successful. At least you tried, which I can't say about a lot of other people. As she looks around to just see people standing in there watching, and others just continuing and minding their own business. She looks up and says, hey, what about you? As Itachi is no longer there, as he long ago body flickered away, but since they were talking to each other, they just never noticed. As Kamino and Uraraka both look in shock and says, wait, where did he go? As President Mike says over the intercom, well, that is the end of this exam. Please leave in the exit that you came in, and hopefully you guys all made it in. Good luck to you, and thank you for choosing UA to try out for. As they all walk away, as Kamino says, well, it was nice meeting you. As Uraraka says, yeah, it was nice meeting you too. As with a shocked look on their faces, they just walked away. But yeah, that'll be the end of my part. So Bleach, take it away.
So, I shall take this from here all the way to the second part of the USJ. And yeah, I've been thinking about this and how I should do the plot, and it took me a while, but with the other what ifs I'm planning out, kind of it took a minute. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into this. So after the events of the entrance exams, right, with just Itachi surprising practically everyone there, right? He heads home, practically rests for the day as like he waits for the letter, right? Training a bit, nothing too much. It's only been like what, 1-2 days. He's not gonna, I don't know, he's not gonna just jump in some random space-time portal and find some hyperbolic time machine and train for thousands of years. I mean, no. So he receives a letter from these people in black suits, all suspicious looking, almost like CIA agents. But he nonetheless still receives the letter. It goes into his room, opens the letter, and it tells him the results, right? He's gotten about 80 points. Like, he racked up like lots of points. And yeah, definitely first place. Obviously, if we're talking first place, like really first place, it would have been Shoto, but like he was in the recommended, so they didn't really have the same point system, and like they were kind of the exclusive in a way. So after he received the letter, he would see the hologram of All Might explaining how he got his points, and he actually got points from saving Uraraka, right? And I guess he would just start to contemplate this, like he got into UA right now. This is kind of the start of the journey to becoming the #1 hero. So we do a time skip to the first day of UA being Monday, and he gets up bright and early, gets his uniform on, and just heads towards UA. As like once he gets there, he walks around. He's a little bit lost, but he manages to find his way as he sees a huge door, right, being that of 1A, and he would walk in, right? He would start to get accompanied with everyone else, and in a sense, he would start to get a terrain of the area, right? He would just start to get just with his Sharingan, right? He would just be able to like naturally look at this area and scout the area just instinctively. As he finds his seat, sits down, where he sees Bakugo like practically like arguing with Ida about putting his legs up on the desk. And Ida would say like how that's disrespectful to like the people who built this desk. It's small things like that. And Bakugo's attention will be pulled by just like the presence of Itachi, or not presence itself, but like just him entering the room, right? So he would enter the room, and Bakugo would get up and start trying to walk up to like Deku, right, to try it in a sense challenge him, not challenge him, but like kind of in a sense chat shit. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a common thing we're not rivals do, but like I wouldn't say enemies either, so I'd say rivals for now, right? They kind of just like talk shit. I mean, that's kind of the thing you'd expect, right? They've been doing it for years. Obviously, whenever this would happen, Itachi or Deku in this case would just ignore. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we know what he's trying to do. As obviously a few minutes later, Aizawa would come in, tell everyone to settle down, and he would start to explain to everyone to put on the gym uniforms and head downstairs. As everyone would start to get ready, we'd have that same moment of Kirishima. Not the same, because when it comes to Itachi, he's not really the buff type. Like, his abilities don't really require him to have physical strength. Like, it's mostly ocular based, so he's not gonna be as ripped as in canon, but I mean, it's relatively in physique. Try to find a few words to describe that. And what would occur next is I guess after the whole everyone getting ready to go downstairs, they would get down to gym uniforms. Same moments would go relatively in canon, right? They would head downstairs as Aizawa would start to explain to everyone like what they'll be doing as he throws a ball to Deku or Itachi. I'll be calling him Itachi because why not? As he would tell Itachi to throw this as far as possible, like with all his strength, like no holding back. whatsoever. As Deku, or Itachi, would nod his head as he would pull back his arm, right? As he would go into his Mangekyo Sharingan state for a few seconds, summoning his skeleton arm of his Susanoo, before then just completely jeering back his arm and throwing that baseball just straight forward, at unbelievable speeds. And he actually put like most of his chakra into that arm. Like Aizawa could sense like he was actually trying, so he could tell the kid was not holding back. So he threw the ball all the way to the end, right? I mean, not all the way to the end. There's no, I mean, like he threw it really far. I'd say about at least 10,000 meters. I mean, he was really triumphed about beating anyone that tried to reach his score, or at least just showing everyone like he's the strongest, right? So after the ball, quote unquote, lands, I guess you can say, and it shows like the meter mark, everyone would be kind of surprised, right? Everyone starts to go on, do their own parts, like throwing their balls or using their quirks to the max output in a sense, and they wouldn't even reach even near the amount Deku got, right? As they'd go through the other exams, like the speed test, whenever Deku would just was told to go, he would disappear into crows and body flicker straight to the end. It wasn't even that difficult for him. He'd probably get like a fraction of a second. I mean, honestly, I definitely see that happening. Even though he probably has light speed reaction speeds, he should be able to reach it pretty fast. Like he's not the fastest Naruto character, but like that's something easily achievable by him, right? So after all the quirk apprehension test, in a sense, Aizawa would explain that the last person wasn't gonna get expelled because it was just a way for them to fully maximize their quirk use, and which that did work, and he could finally like analyze how the quirks are. Well, obviously except Itachi, because Itachi has an odd ability, because it's not a quirk, it's just him utilizing chakra. So what would occur next is that Aizawa would explain to everyone that they could leave, and then after Aizawa would tell everyone that they can leave, Deku and Ida and Uraka would meet up before hanging out for the day, right? As once Deku would get home, it'd be around like nighttime, right? They'd be kind of worried, but obviously like he'd tell them like he was just like with friends, and he'd just like go to sleep. So after the events of the first day, Deku would sleep, try to get his rest, and the next day he would get up, put on his gym uniform, and head towards the UA Academy, right? He'd head there, right? He'd take the subway, as he would meet up with Uraka and Ida, who were taking the subway, as they would start to converse with each other, as they were excited as they heard rumors about something really fun about to happen today. So they would get off the subway, and they would walk through to off onto off the platform, up the stairs to UA. As once they would make it there, like into their classes, All Might would then suddenly come in in a bowing position, as he would explain that he's coming through the door like a normal person, which had looked quite odd, as he had simply just really ran through the room in a sort of in a bowing position, so it didn't seem normal. But obviously Itachi can tell it was just like All Might's passive humorism, as obviously All Might would explain like they were going to be doing heroes versus 2v2 heroes versus villain exercise, as he would start to show everyone's suitcases with other suits, and Deku's suit would specifically have that of the Akatsuki suit. And honestly, the reason why is simply because he had been so used to wearing it, and honestly, he simply just wanted to wear it. And now he won't be arrested for simply wearing it, because the suit, or I guess the cloak, has no meaning in this world. The organization doesn't exist, so he won't be seen as a terrorist for wearing it. But after he put on his hero suit, like everyone would kind of be surprised, like how it would look, because it looked mad trippy. Like actually, like it looks good. So they would then start the exam, right? As Deku and Uraraka would be a duo, as they would be going against Bakugo and Ida. As once All Might would say that they could start, Uraraka would be told by Deku that Bakugo's probably gonna go for him, as he would or she would be fighting Ida most likely. She would nod her head to head upstairs pretty fast until before Deku can even run towards the stairs to head up there too, there'd be an explosion to his right, as he would smile as he knew this was him, as he had used his Susanoo as the explosions would occur. And it made him look like he hadn't actually had any defense technique, like he actually got hit. So once Deku would recover from the explosion, he would make a clone. Now this clone would then act as if he had got hit by the explosion, showing his body all mutilated, right? Before Bakugo's eyes would twitch, right? And as Bakugo's about to snap, like Deku's clone would just turn into crows, right? As Deku would catch him off guard, and he would then appear with a kunai to his neck and try to hold him at kunai point. And of course Bakugo would try to use his explosions, in which obviously Deku would protect himself with his Susanoo, as he would use the capture tape to capture him. That sounded redundant, but he would utilize the capture tape and incapacitate Bakugo. And it kind of sounds simple because, like, damn, all Deku did was use a clone, a substitution clone, and a Susanoo to beat Bakugo, who has like explosions. I don't know, man. That doesn't sound pretty normal. I mean, this is Itachi we're talking about here, bro. This guy was in the war zone when he was 4 years old. This guy got the Mangekyo when he was 13. He doesn't need to go all out on someone who barely mastered his explosions. Maybe if it was one for all Bakugo, he'd try a little harder, but not this version. So after he incapacitated Bakugo, Deku and Uraraka would head up to the top floor, in which he would see Uraraka having a bit trouble. Like, he was going up, in which he sensed it, right? And he sees like Uraraka needs help. So he would summon his full body Susanoo. I mean full body, and like full out, like the one he mastered the most. As he would then aim his arrow from his Yatagarase, I believe it was. Not Yatagarase. I forgot what it was. The bow of his Susanoo was called. But he would aim it and shoot the arrow. And, it would go through the roof, as it would cause a huge explosion once it would go through the roof, not really hurting Uraraka or Ida, but this would cause her diversion she needed, right? She would run and touch the bomb with her quirk, as she would cause everyone to pass, or cause her and Deku to pass, right? As they'd celebrate a bit, and then all the other exams would go relatively the same, like the heroes versus villains, as Momo would comment on Deku's demoralizing a trick on Bakugo about like using that clone and how it was immoral. And obviously Deku would quickly explain to her that, I mean, morals really have no place when it comes to being a hero, because villains itself don't follow morals because they want to hurt people, so why should we follow them to stop them? And I mean, some people had seen this as extremist, but this is just what was necessary. So after the heroes vs villains exams happened, obviously the next day, after All Might had dismissed everyone, Aizawa would go over the heroes vs villains, and he would compliment Deku and Bakugo and Momo. He would tell Bakugo to like watch out on his quirk, though, try to compress it, his nitroglycerin. But other than that, like, Bakugo didn't go like completely all out, because Deku's pretty strong, he can handle himself. So it's not like Deku's like newly out fresh student who's never known to have a quirk and suddenly survives this huge explosion powered by nitroglycerin. Like, he has no reason to, because he's seen Deku's power. He knows he has defense techniques, offensive techniques, possibly one of the strongest students at this point, so he's not really gonna scold Bakugo too much as he did. I mean, not that was really necessary to go over, but I thought I would. So, Deku and everyone else will be told by Aizawa that they'll be going to the USJ today, right? So, obviously the usual attack would happen where Shigaraki would use the news reporters as a diversion to have his UA spy steal some files on a specific field trip that UA or 1A will be going on. As what would occur is, this would happen, right? As we know, spoiler alert, it was Aoyama, and so Aoyama would spread the file to Shigaraki, in which so 1A would be heading towards the USJ on the bus, right? As Deku or Itachi would be talking to Uraraka and Ida, because they're like basically the friends, right? As everyone start to get on the discussion about like whose quirk is who and other things like that, and they would ask Deku like what's his quirk, and obviously like he would say like he's quirkless, like he has no quirk, and they would ask like what's the power that he uses then, and he would say that it's simply manipulating life force energy, which was an ancient practice. And of course that is pretty simplified explanation of what chakra is. So they would take this answer with a pinch of salt. I think that's the term. Take it with a grain of salt. That's the term. So they would take it with a grain of salt, and they would just continue their conversation right until they get to the USJ, right? And everyone would be like, oh, is this the Universal Studios of Japan? Then they'd realize it was just like a rescue like training base for like rescuing civilians from different type of areas and circumstances. So they would make their way inside as they meet up with 13, the hero that leads these practices and training exercises. As they would start talking to 13, as she would explain to them like what they'll be doing, as Kirishima would point towards the grounds, in which she would explain if that was part of the test. And what they would see is a bunch of thugs, like about 200, 300 thugs and Yakuza members walking through a little portal, a purple portal, as they seem to be packing heat. As Deku would get a little confused, right? But then he'd realize they were under attack. As Aizawa could see this, as Deku would immediately close his eyes, activating his Sharingan, right? As he would slide down the railing of the stairs, as he would make his way down, right? As Aizawa would tell him to stop, as he would continue to chase after him, right? To like protect, Deku while also stopping villains, right? As all the other students would be sent through the portals to their own different places, right? Same as usual. As Deku and Aizawa start running through the thugs, right? Punching them, kicking them, knocking them out, whatever you want to think of, right? As Deku then closes right eye, before then gathering chakra into his eye. He would then whisper, Amaterasu. As black flames would then suddenly gather around the whole crowd, as they would suddenly start practically burning from the flames, as Deku would stop it as soon as like it would start to like really like after it would incapacitate them, because he isn't trying to cremate anyone. And the only people who would be left standing is two individuals, being that of Shigaraki and Kirigiri, right? And Shigaraki would then start fighting with Aizawa, but Shigaraki wasn't only based on his quirk, so whenever he tried to cancel his quirk and Aizawa tried to use his capture tool, Shigaraki would just grab the capture tool and pull Aizawa towards him, right? So he had a quick way to counter him. He's studying studying Aizawa for whenever he closes his eyes, like he knows his Korka's weaknesses. So, Deku and Deku and Aizawa would start fighting Shigaraki, doing combos, since Aizawa would be helping him by canceling Shigaraki's decay. So this would happen again, as which Deku would then grab Shigaraki by the chest with his Susanoo skeleton arm and slam him against the ground, right? As he would continue this combo move, before something would grab the Susanoo's arm, as Deku would look to the right to see a Nomu, right? As Deku would back up, as the Nomu would throw a punch at, Deku. As Deku tried to defend himself with the skeleton, but it would just completely shatter, as this isn't the full body Susanoo, this is legit just a skeleton with a hand, or like an arm to be more specific. So he would start charging up his Susanoo, as he would then shoot an arrow at the Nomu, right? It would just pierce his chest, as then it would hit it and then completely mutilate it as expected, but it would just start regenerating, right? As he would continue to doing this, hopefully he can shoot him down faster than the rate of the acceleration or regeneration in this case, and he would try doing this, right? And analyzing where he gets the power from and where the power system leaks from an area in his body, and this would be his head, meaning the brain, right? So he would shoot his arrow towards there again, right through his brain, right? As once this would happen, he would manage to kill Nomu. All Might would make it on sight, so would the other pro heroes. Shigaraki would point towards Deku, saying, "He's next." As he would walk through the portal, as he could barely even point at Deku after he had been shot by the pro hero. He's the third-year teacher. He has a gun-based quirk. Helps him aim really skillfully. I can't remember his name though, but he was Mirio's teacher, I believe. Same with Tamaki and Nejire. But after he made it through the portal, he would then talk to All-For-One, right, about like this person who seemed to be more stronger than Aizawa and some of the pro heroes, being that of Deku, right? So after the scene, right, Deku would then be taken in, as he'd be arrested. Not actually arrested, but once he had the handcuffs placed on him, it made it look like he was arrested. As once he was like placed on the prison bus, he'd be sent to this warehouse, as he was assuming like it was prison or something. But once he had actually gotten here, he had saw a bunch of like pro heroes, right? As he was explained that like he needed to be arrested to make it look like he was actually going to jail for like illegal quirk usage. But no. As All Might would come in, right, as Toshinori, not as All Might, as he would explain to Deku that there's a new villain on the rise, and they could see his innate potential, and they want to help him like become stronger, right? So from now on, this is where I'll be ending my part, right? Deku at this point has became stronger, has he shown his mastery over the Susanoo and the arrow, and soon maybe the Totsuka blade, at least remembering it at least. And now their first confrontation with Shigaraki. But without further ado, guys, I'm gonna give it back to Zero.
Alright, but yeah, that's gonna be on the video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I think this is the longest video I ever had on this channel, and after I finish editing, it should be around like an hour and maybe like 20 minutes or so. But yeah, sorry for not uploading in like 7 months, like I said. Thank you for hitting 600 subs. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm going to be making a video like I used to do, telling you guys some video ideas I had for my 600 sub special. But yeah, I should become a lot more active on this channel. I've been waiting to post this vid for so long, man. I just needed Bleach's part, but now that I got that, yeah, I can finally start making more what ifs for this series, as well as some other series that I never got to finish. I was thinking about restarting the what if Deku is Gojo what if, as well as the Toto one, and maybe the Toge one as well. And also I have planned on starting a YouTube what if, as well as some other ones that you guys can give me in the comment section below. But yeah, guys, it's been Zero, and I'm out. Peace.